Hello guys, Foxy here. This will be part 8 to what if Izuku was a wolf dog in The Walking Dead. Now, I do not feel well. I know that I am still semi-sick. I'm getting better, slowly but surely. But either way, I've been laying down all day. I might have an ear infection. I really don't know, but my ear does hurt. So Mom and my dad had me press a hot pad against my ear, and I just been laying down since 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. Oh my god, that was a long time now thinking about it. That is way too long. Either way, yeah, I have a bunch of energy now, but I'm still tired because, well, I was still up around that entire time. Just didn't waste any energy. Either way, I'm talking way too much. I will have infrequent uploads because currently we are being evicted. Well, actually I don't know. We're in that in-between where you have to go to court to figure out if you're being evicted or not. We're not too sure about what the result will be. But yeah, right now we're just up at each other's throats, just not happy. But currently I'm in my bedroom all alone. I will be trying to speed this up because I don't know how much time I have before my sister or my mother barges in here. So, hold on. I don't know if I have this up high enough. Okay, there we go. So, we are just going to hop right into this, and I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, let's get this on the road, shall we? Our POV. Izuku slunk off into the woods, his nails digging into the earth. The earth was soft and black, clearly healthy. There were a few spattered rocks throughout the soil, but none of those tiny little rocks stopped Izuku from walking, striding forward, nose up in the air, wanting to catch a scent, the scent of the undead. But it was no good. The scent of the undead was clearly all around the woods. Where did they come from? How did they come here? What brought them here? Izuku wasn't too sure. It could have been a number of reasons. In the end, it was just one big, bad day for everyone. And Izuku had a mission to finish off the undead. Izuku doesn't know how many will come from the woods now. It's best to cut them off before they get any closer. And that's how Izuku spent his night, hunting, prowling the woods, killing any undead he finds. It wasn't until the morning when he slunk back off into the camp. There he could hear whispers and shouts of the still living people. And Izuku saw him, Daryl, using a pickaxe to, jam into the zombies' heads. Izuku nodded. It was a solid idea. But currently Izuku was tired and clearly bloody and sticky. But he had no energy, no will to actually clean himself up. So instead, he wandered off to the hall of cars and hid behind a white van. No, there was no van. The white van was gone from yesterday. Izuku remembered it. How the crew panicked and shouted about how Merle stole their white van. Izuku shook his head and went off to the RV. The RV was big enough. The closer he got to the RV, the more loud the people became. The whispers became a holler. The shouts became a banshee's call. The world around Izuku spun in a spiral, never stopping, and the earth felt like it was shaking. But Izuku kept moving forward. He was a soldier boy after all. The song played in his head. It was a upbeat song, Izuku thinks. Was it? Or was it a sad song? A happy song? A metal song? What was it? What was it? Why can't he remember? Then he saw them. Two blonde girls. One clearly older than the other. The younger one was bleeding, clearly dead. The older one was hanging over her like a weeping willow, hair falling loose and surrounding her face. It was a sad sight, blood and gore. Clearly, a disaster had happened. Memories of the Walking Dead flooding the camp. Oh no. Izuku shook his head. One, to get rid of the dizziness, which didn't help. Two, to shake the memories away. He turned back to the RV and slid underneath it like a snake. There he curled up underneath it, tired and exhausted. The smell of copper blood and rotting flesh filled his senses. He didn't want this. He wanted to be home or be sleeping. Now, when everything was still, memories flooded back. But they weren't memories. They were fragments of memories that were long gone, wasted away like sand. And there was nothing to him. He can't remember who he exactly was. Only the bare bones. He was a hero. He died when he was old. He has no family, no friends. Or at least none left. It was a sad, sad bone truth. And Izuku didn't like it. A part of him knew that it was not healthy for him staying an animal, hiding away his feelings and his heart, as if being an animal would guard him against the world forever. It wouldn't. He would either be eaten or be forced to show his human side once again. But Izuku still wanted to run, to hide, to be that little boy who would always cry to his mother about something or something else. How he would wish for that to happen again, where this nightmare would just waste away and he would be back home, making better decisions, spending more time smiling and standing up for himself. Why did he have to stand up for himself again? Slowly, the encroaching darkness filled his mind. Still, question after question filled his head. But the one that screamed the loudest, that boomed the biggest, the one that filled his mind like a disease. Why can't I remember the laboratory? And with that, he fell. He fell into a sleepless dream. Memories, full and bright, faded away in black and red. Daryl was not having the best of days. Well, never mind, screw that, the best of lives. He was fucked. He was fucked the moment he was born. He was fucked the moment he had any type of dream at all. He was just truly fucked. And it was just not going well. And now, the worst thing has happened. Merle was gone. Well, it was never really a shock to Daryl. Merle left when he had the opportunity to leave him. Go off to the military and do who knows what, then get discharged. He doesn't know too surely of why Merle got discharged. Either way, Daryl somehow, in some way, got out of his father's house and lived with Merle, which was bad and good. No more whipping of a belt, nor the screaming of an angry father, but instead a drunken, raging brother and his drunk friends. Which, hey, sometimes they're fun and good to hang around, and most of the time, Daryl himself was drunk and high off his high horse. But now, since they have none of the good stuff, and actually not having, a semi-good life out of the apocalypse, they are now separated in the apocalypse. And it was just getting worse. It was getting worse. And Daryl was not having the best of times because all he wants to do is scream, yell, shout, break things, and blame everyone. Well, he could blame one, but logically, that's not a good idea. For one, Merle was being a jackass. Two, blaming everyone won't actually help Daryl himself. Because one, Merle is a big boy. He'll survive. He can eat a hammer and shit out nails and still survive. Hell, he survived the war and all, and either way, Merle Dixon was a survivor. Like himself. Daryl will survive, Merle will survive, they'll find each other one way or another. It's going to happen. But currently, he has to stay with this group. And Daryl was so much different than his brother. Because one, Daryl knows that he will not survive out in the apocalypse alone. At least, not in the long run. In the fast run, the quick one, he will survive perfectly fine, have no one to rely on, have no food to share. He'll survive. But in the end, when people group up together, you're either going to be a dead man on a stick or another one of those walkers. Either being shot by your own kind or by being eaten by the undead ones. And he has to stay with them, at least for a little while, until he can find his brother and they, too, can just go off. Because in the end, it's not just one person. And maybe one day they'll find a camp that will take them both in, and not care about their misgivings. Then the dog came in. All green, well, no longer green fur, instead was black and red, and was clearly stinking to all hells. He just smelled terribly bad. And the dog seemed, well, tired. The dog looked at him, green eyes dim but sparkling with unknown light. The dog seemed to nod at him, then walk off. It seemed to go by the hall of cars, but stopped, and turned around. Well, not turned around exactly, but turned around 90 degrees, and headed to the RV. Everyone was screaming and shouting at the poor creature, saying to get away from the sisters. Well, sister, because one was already fucking dead and should be shot already. And the other one was looming over her like a ghost, vengeful for human flesh. Bad idiom. But either way, the dog was walking over. And from Daryl's point of view, he saw how the dog looked at them, eyes gleaming with thousands of different emotions. But in the end, turned back to the RV and crawled underneath it. And everyone just left it alone. But Daryl couldn't help every few minutes looking over, wondering if the dog was okay. He was stupid. He never worried about a creature. Most of the time he shot them dead and ate them. Hell, even for the neighborhood dogs, he would just ignore them or give them some of his food when he wasn't really that hungry. But that was rare and very, very rare and sparse in between. He was always hungry, never having enough to eat nor enough to drink. He had to take what he was given, and on the rare few days he was dead full, he would give some to the dogs and the cats. But this dog was something else, something unique, special, if Daryl would say so. So after the 50th time of him looking over, he slammed his axe down, or, no, it was a pickaxe, whatever. This sharp pointy thing that everyone used for the mines, he slammed it down and walked over to the RV. And without a bit of hesitation, he went down on his knees and peeked underneath the RV. And there the dog laid, sleeping, ears flopped down, and tail loosely wrapped around him. And with what only could be a special skill of people who were used to wrangling in dogs and cats alike, picked the dog up by its scruff, dragged it out even though it was yipping and growling and trying to bite off his hand. He dragged it towards the lake. Some of the people there that were yelling at the dog were now yelling at him, saying, "Don't drown the poor creature, blah 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 blah." Fucking people. But he got to the lake and threw the dog in. The dog only yipped and growled, and soon sputtered and gobbled from the water coming into its throat. The dog shortly got out of the water, shaking all the way. Fur, water, and everything was going everywhere. And like magic, Daryl pulled out a brush, soap, rags for the dog, and started going at the dog. After 30 minutes, the dog was new and clean. The dog's fur was no longer clumped with dirt, mud, leaves, and all shitty things. Now the dog, you could actually see what the dog truly looks like. It had green fur that was no longer dusty or filled with unknown slimy fluids or just pure garbage. Instead, just green fur all around its head, and it had a black muzzle, and its front paws had, well, little white mittens on. That's what people call them, right? Either way, it had white feet, but the back ones were very curious. The back legs were completely red, and the underbelly was white. Either way, the dog was, well, really unique. The man only shook his head as he walked up the hill to the camp, and the dog followed, fur still semi-wet after the abrupt bathing. They got back to camp, and the next day, everything seemed to go fine. They had a destination to go to, and a guy was bitten. His name was Jerry. Daryl believed. No, not Jerry. It was a name. It was a name starting with a J, right? Either way, Daryl didn't care. He hopped in the car and brought the dog along with him. He doesn't know what everyone else would do, but he's pretty sure everyone would eat the dog when the time came. And there they drove. It took around a day, maybe two, to actually make it to, well, the CDC. That's what everyone calls it, right? Anyway, the guy that got bitten didn't survive, and they got to the CDC without him, and we're now walking in to it. And it gave Daryl the shivers. This place was clearly not safe, but yet again, it was the only place that wouldn't get them bitten to death by the monsters outside. Instead, now they're all full, warm, and now clean. And now it's hard to put a finger on it. Daryl doesn't feel safe. Something's in the air. Something isn't right. And the dog, who was named, well, had the name Izuku on it, clearly felt the same way. Something wasn't right. But unbeknownst to Daryl, it was two different things for them. For Izuku, he felt roughly the same things that Daryl was feeling, but there was something more here. Something that he was clearly missing. It was on the tip of his tongue. It was right around the corner. It was there. But he didn't know where to look. So when everyone was dead asleep, Izuku quietly walked out of the room to where the doctor was. What was his name again? What was his name? His name was... Then words and names filled his head. Dr. Jenner. Right. He had something. He knows something about Izuku. And Izuku will find it, one way or another. And there was Dr. Jenner. He was wasted to all hell. And he was just, well, he clearly was out of it. Izuku stomped right over to him and roofed at him, biting at his ankles gently. What is it, you damn dog? Jenner looked down, and his eyes were so unclear. But, as if a spell was put on him, his focus was back. Then Dr. Jenner stumbled away from him, shaking all the way. No, you can't be alive. You escaped, and you You should have died in the woods. The chemicals in your body should have eroded your bones, melted your organs. He slipped to the floor, shaking all the way, tears blurring his eyes. Why are you back? Why are you back? My wife's mission, her goal was dead. No. His words were as silent as a bee. All of his words were muttered out, almost unhearable. There was no screaming, no shouting, but his voice was rough. Clearly before he was screaming or shouting at something or somebody. But now his throat was scarred. His voice was unhearable, and all that could be heard was mutters. But to Izuku's clear ears, he could hear every little word. Izuku walked to the door and shut it. And with that one shut door, he changed back into his human form. It has been weeks, almost months, since he became a dog. And it clearly showed. His hair was longer than before, curling around his shoulders like a cloak. His skin was paler, and veins, dark blue veins, can be shown around his forearms and his hands. His muscles tensed, and Izuku's clothing was still on, thank the Lord. Izuku had a white t-shirt on and black leggings as well. Izuku's attire was simple and clear. Izuku turned towards Jenner, a scowl on his lips, his eyes gleaming with anger. With bare feet, he stomped his way to Jenner and picked him up. What do you know about me, Jenner? He was angry, furious even. What did this man, his wife, know about him that he didn't? Why was his memories lost? Why can't he remember? Izuku's nails grew longer and pierced Jenner's skin, scratching it. Blood seeped out, but the man was silent as a dead corpse. Izuku slammed him against the wall, yelling this time, "What do you know about me, damn it?" His teeth were now bared. The anger was clearly shown on his face. Everything was swirling around him. What answers could this man give him? Instead of words, the man pointed towards a laptop. It had stickers on it of little cute animals and butterflies, flowers and bees alike. Izuku dragged himself and Jenner with him. He opened the laptop. It had a password. What is the password? He barely could keep the growl out of his question. Jenner tremblingly typed in the password. It took a few tries, but they got in. Now show me where it is. With a few clicks and taps, video after video popped up. Documents as well. This has everything that you need. Now please don't kill me. Don't kill me like this, he said as his own body trembled. Izuku wanted to rip him to pieces. He was angry. He was hurt. What can he not remember? Why can't he remember? But Izuku had enough common sense to shut him up. Do not utter a word about me or what I can do. Pretend that I have never stepped a foot or a paw in this room. You were just sitting here drunk and stupid. Then you threw away this laptop, and I found it, and I took it back with me. Don't say a word. The man nodded pathetically. Izuku dropped him, with no mercy in his eyes, as he stomped his way out of the room. And in a blur, the laptop was now locked within his keychain, and he shifted back into a dog. He only growled and woofed as he walked out. Izuku wanted to take everything from this man before they left. This man was not a good man. Izuku could feel deep aches. Was it from when he got here, or was it from his own time? Either way, this man or his wife did something to him, and he does not want to show mercy. And throughout the night, or what remained of the night, he walked throughout the building, taking everything and anything into his space. All the food, all the medicine, all the weapons, anything that he has, he took. And finally, after everything that could be grabbed was gone, he walked back into his and Daryl's room. Daryl had the couch and was sleeping on it, snoring all the way. Izuku had a genius idea. He's pretty sure he knows which two outcomes will happen. He either would be kicked out of the couch and from the room, or Daryl would just simply ignore him. Now, Izuku was hoping for the latter. He would really love a nice warm body to sleep by this time. He was not doing too well in the cold. And to Izuku's utter astonishment, Daryl actually slept and cuddled Izuku in his sleep. Izuku felt happy. And with that, two bodies slept together, one snoring like a dead pig, and the other slept contentedly, wrapped in warmth, and finally the dreams were evaded. The nightmares were now cursed away. And hopefully this night, Izuku and Daryl alike could sleep in peace. And guys, this will be the ending of part 8 of What If Izuku Was a Wolf Dog. I will be making a few more episodes. Likely will not be posting them today and maybe tomorrow. I am not too sure. Either way, I hope y'all have a good night or day. Toodaloo.